Looking at the youngster before them, everyone decided to first attack from a distance, lest they get killed first. Odeo jumped and drew a huge moon-like arc while suspended in the air. Instantly, the arc glowed bright red as a strong evil chi emitted out of his sword, rushing towards Chu-Che at the speed of light. Demonic Eater. Boom! The ground shook heavily, making many people's legs wobble. Countless trees beside Chu-Che were uprooted and flung backward at an incredible speed. The entire area turned sunken, as it looked like a small meteorite had crashed into the ground. The winds from the attack were cold and deadly, as they sliced through countless stones and even the flying trees. Monstrous! Everyone felt both respect and fear for Odeo. As expected of their elders, everyone squinted their eyes at the reddish smoke before them. Do you think he's dead? It should be. There's no movement from the brat, so he should be dead. Heh! Who asked him to go against our sect? Deserves it. Ah! What a hateful man. How dare he say that I have feelings for him? Seeing that Elder Odeo has avenged me, I won't have any knots or setbacks when cultivating now. Elder Odeo is so strong. If I were the one taking that attack right now, I would have been diced and sliced up by now. Do you think Elder Odeo is still looking for disciples? How can I get his attention? Our elder is mighty. Odeo, who was still high up in the air, smiled broadly while listening to the many comments from the sect disciples below. Who doesn't like compliments and flattery? Of course, he still kept his eyes on the scene before him, wanting to see just how sliced up that brat would be. But who he saw next turned his victorious smile into a stern one. Everyone was still immersed in the notion of the youngster's loss when suddenly, a powerful tornado sucked the reddish smoke, swirling it around like a red monster. And soon, it turned from red to clear, revealing a calm youngster at the center of it. What? How could this be? Their faces turned pale with fright as they watched the youngster approach them calmly. Everyone attacked together. I don't believe he will be able to take us all. With that, they all rushed toward Chu-Che like crazy. But just when they were about to make their move, several of them felt a large bang on their faces, making them fall backward. Why did it feel like they had run into a wall? Many stood up again and placed their hands ahead, only to truly find that there seemed to be an invisible wall there. And soon, the floor beneath them lit up, revealing several blue patterns on it. Formations. How? When did the youngster have time to place them here without their knowledge? And looking at its quality, it should be done by the highest grade formation master in the lower realm. Just like alchemy, formations had different grades and ranks. They weren't formation masters. Nonetheless, they could tell and feel the quality of it, which made them tremble. This again confirmed that this youngster before them wasn't simple. Who the hell was he? Chu-Che smiled while looking at the trapped people before him. They kept jumping around like frogs trapped in a well. Presently, only Odeo, Medina, and a few others driving the wagons and the kidnapped children weren't trapped in the formation. He had waited for the right time when everyone charmed towards him before activating the formation. Chu-Che looked at the elders and smiled. It's funny that you've lived here for months and yet, you still don't know who I am. Well, that couldn't be blamed on you since my appearance was very different from what it is now. Odeo and Medina looked at Chu-Che with sunken expressions while thinking hard about the matter. But they still didn't know who he was. When they were here, Chu-Che had been terribly ill throughout. His face always looked like that of a zombie's. It was rough, very pale, and looked like he was just a pile of skeletons. Anyone who saw his before and after appearance would be shocked silly. Of course, anything was possible in this world, so they would get over their initial surprise and accept it. Medina and Odeo thought so hard that they were about to get a brain freeze. If they knew that there was such a powerful person in the town, do you think they would have been caught up in today's matter like this? Well, I'll forgive you for your negligence. But since you want to know my identity so badly, I don't see any reason to hide it from you. I am, of course, the young town lord. Town lord? Everyone's eyes opened wide in denial. How was this possible? Odeo himself confirmed Chu-Che's cultivation level back then, even though he didn't see the youngster's face clearly. So how could one jump so many dawn and become this powerful in just a few months? What kind of joke is this? Or could it be that the boy is ridiculously talented and was only held back by the poison? Yes, that must be the case. And just like that, Odeo made up his own explanation for why Chu-Che could get so strong in such a short period of time. In life, sometimes, when met with a bizarre and magical scene, people always came up with some explanations for why it was happening. If this were a world filled with science, scientists would have already developed many theories about why things were the way they were. So coming up with their own explanations, putting their hearts to rest. Some even thought that because of the Elter pill, as well as some fruitful encounters, the young town lord was not only able to get healthy, but also break through many times in such a short period. In their minds, he wouldn't be able to do that again, since his cultivation speed should decrease now. Medina and Odeo held out their weapons and nodded at each other. Since long-range attacks weren't effective, their best bet was to get close. They just needed one attack to slice the brat's head off. He might have broken through, but they had experience above all. So what if you're the town lord? Because of some fruitful encounter, you dare look down on us? Boy, unless you have another trick up your sleeve, you alone can't stop us all. Medina said scornfully, while Odeo nodded in agreement. Chu-Che paused and tilted his head in confusion. I assure you, I have no other tricks. But who said I was alone? Instantly, Old Fru and the rest revealed themselves. Old man, you dare attack my young master. Old Fru, it seems that you also hid so deep. Judging from your hair color, you should have broken through, right? Old Fru didn't answer but smiled broadly. He hadn't broken through yet, but he was almost there. Nonetheless, why should he tell this bastard? To think that he had shared drinks with this bastard. How hateful. Odeo squinted his eyes when looking at Old Fru. He still couldn't see through his cultivation level. So did this mean that Old Fru was stronger than he was? Judging from Old Fru's change, he was more inclined to believe in his thoughts. But how would he have known that Old Fru's strength wasn't revealed because of the artifact on him? Chu-Che glanced at his team and nodded. Everyone do your jobs. Yes, young lord. Yes, Boss Chu. Without wasting any more time, Bo-Su's gang headed for the wagons. After all, they did say that they wanted to untie the children. So they might as well do it quickly. And they were weaker than everyone here, so joining the fight would lead to their deaths. As for all three shadow guards, they quickly focused on taking care of those who drove the wagons and clearing the way for Bo-Su's gang. Of course, once they were done, they had to help Old Fru fight against Odeo. Even though Old Fru was just a few steps away from breaking through to the 11th Dan, his opponent had already stabilized himself in the same Dan. So Old Fru was in a disadvantageous predicament. But he didn't want to give up. After all, the betrayal of this friend of his was too heavy in his heart. All this time, the person had probably been looking at him as a fool, which made him all the more upset. Who wouldn't get angry? Chu-Che looked at crazy Medina before him and kept the original owner's sword away. For her, he didn't need any weapon to take her down. Medina looked at his actions and felt insulated. Was this brat saying that she wasn't worth it for him to use his weapon? Medina's eyes flashed with rage. Roar! With her violent noise, the air vibrated as the short metal stick in her hand suddenly grew into a long staff. In the dark night, everyone saw Medina swing her long staff over her head, rotating it firmly before finally pointing it at Chu-Che. Brat! How dare you bully your seniors this much? Who are you looking down on? If your mother hasn't taught you how to respect your elders, then I'll have no choice but to guide you in her place. Boom! Medina looked at the destruction she caused on the ground and gritted her teeth in anger. Damn it! She continued attacking fiercely, but no matter what she did, Chu-Che just dodged everything with a seemingly casual expression on his face. To her, the battle was very intense. It was just that her feelings weren't the same as her opponent's. The ease at which he dodged and handled everyone gave her a deep sense of crisis. Why won't you just die? The air became so tense and suffocating that those watching from within the formation felt helpless and frightened. If the elders lost the battle and died, wouldn't they die too? Damn it! They couldn't help cursing the Chu-Che repeatedly in their hearts. Medina looked at Chu-Che cruelly and sent another deadly attack at him. But this time, rather than dodging, Chu-Che caught her staff, yanked her forward, and headbutted her. Medina felt like her skull was about to crack as blood trickled down her forehead, flowing between her eyebrows. Son of AB****ch. Medina was about to attack again when she realized that her staff was missing. Chu Che swirled the first in his hand in appreciation. Good staff. That's it. I've decided. Even though I don't want to take you down with my sword, I don't mind using another weapon instead. Why you? Medina's face turned red with outrage as she looked at her staff in the youngster's hand. Any redder, and one might think her head would literally explode like a bomb. But where did Chu Che give her time to sulk in her depression? Like lightning, he moved fast. He was so fast that no one saw what he was doing. All they saw was Medina turning around in agony as her body began bloodied with her every turn. At least when Medina attacked earlier on, a handful of them could see her after images. But in Che's case, they all saw Medina turning around in agony. Slash, 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 slash. The knife-like wind sliced through her body countless times, giving her numerous cuts all around. Even though Chu Che was using a staff to attack her, his speed and powerful chi automatically honed the staff to be as sharp as a blade whenever it came in contact with Medina. She wailed in agony as Chu Che's piercing moves rendered her helpless. She couldn't even predict his attacks, so how would she be able to dodge or block them? Medina danced and arched her body away whenever she got sliced, and the final attack on her back made her fall forward on all fours. Curse you! Curse you! Curse you! Haven't you heard that you should be gentle with women? As you said, I'm already old. So why treat me this harshly? Chu Che calmly walked toward the bloodied woman and stood right before her heroically. If he were back on Earth, then he would undoubtedly treat the old gentler. But here, the old were the strongest and the young were the weakest. So it doesn't count. Old lady, are you sure that's what you want to say for your last words? I'm a man of honor. So air out your grievances and let's get it over with. The old last froze. What sort of heartless bastard had she run across this time? Damn it. Look, don't kill me. I can give you whatever you want. Earlier on, you were looking for a beauty, right? So why don't I? Without waiting for her to finish, Chu Che almost puked, looking at her disgustingly. Enough. How dare you think of offering your old body to me? I was offering that young. I said enough. I know you've lusted over my body, but please, can't you respect yourself even when you're just a step away from death? Panic filled the old lady's face as she tried her best to explain to this blockhead before her. Can you just shut up and listen? I said enough. That's enough from you. You know what? I don't even want to listen to your last words anymore. Goodbye, old lady. With that, Chu Che raised the staff in his hand and delivered a powerful strike. The old lady looked at everything in disbelief. She was so angry that she spat out a mouthful of blood and died before his attack reached her. How hateful. Who the hell was lusting over his body? The old lady had no tears but wanted to cry. Everyone just looked at her pitifully. Never in their lives had they met someone so full of themselves as this youngster. How can one person be so narcissistic? Like that, Chu Che finally made the old lady's head roll off her neck. Swish. She was dead. Swish. Medina was dead. Those trapped in the formation stayed dumbfounded in silence, as their chance of survival seemed too bleak now. Their faces looked awful as they stared at the severed head rolling on the ground. It wasn't that they cared for Medina or anything of that sort, but her being alive was their ticket to getting out of here. Okay? Looking around, the others who were driving the wagons were already killed by the shadow guards. And Odeo, even though he had the other hand when facing Old Fru alone, was now in a terrible predicament as the shadow guards had teamed up with Old Fru to deal with him. One shouldn't forget that with this, since this youngster had already finished Medina, he could as well assist them in dealing with Odeo too. What sort of bad luck did they have to attack this town? If they had known, they would have joined their other brothers and sisters and targeted other villages or towns. They couldn't help but feel cheated by the information they got too. Who said Wonji town didn't have powerful people? It was all the fault of those damn spies. Everyone lamented bitterly as Hope Slimy left them. Chu Che looked at his guards, who were slowly waking up and hastily focused on the enemies trapped in the formation. He might as well deal with them now. Who knew if those Natrajas would focus on some of the guards, making them kill each other or attack him? The formation they used wasn't an invisible one. Some formations worked like invisibility cloaks, making those outside unaware of those within. But the formation they used today wasn't of that nature. Instead, one could imagine it as a clear box, where those outside could see those inside and vice versa. So what the Natrajas enchanted his men, Chuche didn't have time for their silly games anymore. As everyone knows, they are just magical arrays filled with rune writings arranged in specific patterns, based on what the formation was created for. There were many formation arrays in this world, like battle formations, spell formations, protective array formations, illusionary array formations, imprisoning array formations, etc. And all array formations had what were called formation flags/points along each formation that one could use to control it. A single array is just a magical circle. So a formation could have 5 or more magical circles placed together. In this case, Chuche created a rectangular killing array with 6 arrays. Seeing what he was about to do, and within the formation tried their best to dissuade him. Who would want to die? You stop for us. Don't you know who is behind us? If you let us, our sect will never let you go. Listen here. If you stop now, we promise to let you go after this. My uncle is a big man in Miracle City, so if you dare lay a finger on me, he will never let you go. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Look, I'll even become your woman if you let me go. No, I'm willing to become your slave if you free me. Boy, look at me. You let us go. Let us go. Asterisk increment asterisk. Chuche looked at everyone in annoyance, as he quickly stood on one of the arrays and cleared his kind of all noise and distraction while concentrating on the formation. What a joke. If he let them go, wouldn't they go on kidnapping innocent children? Another thing that bugged him was how handsome he was. Sigh. Just like back on Earth, people were still throwing themselves at him. It was really a hard life to be a handsome man. Soon, he made some hand gestures, quickly gathering more chi towards the formation for what he was about to do. All right. He opened his eyes, and at that moment, several bone-chilling screams and wails could be heard from those within the formation. Instantly, the temperature within the formation dropped, and before everyone knew it, blood splattered on the invisible walls, leaving those watching numb. The guards who just woke up felt subconsciously stepped back in shock and fear. Lying trough. Before they slept, the world was peaceful. And now, they're waking up to battles and murders, who wouldn't be confused and afraid. To them, it was as if they just blinked their eyes, and everything changed. Who can accept this without a hint of confusion? Some even looked back to ensure they were still in Wanji Town. Some even speculate whether this Wanji Town was the same Wanji Town they were used to. Even after seeing Old Fru, many still suspected that they had been kidnapped and taken to another place similar to their Wanji Town. And since when did Old Fru have raven hair? Could it be that they went back in time to when Old Fru still had raven hair? What the hell was going on here? The guards were so confused and weak that they didn't know whether to step forward to assist or stay behind. It was only when Bo Su and his team explained things did they understand today's situation. Instantly, they helped Bo Su rescue the children and started to sort them out one by one. It was already late at night, so they decided to take all the children to the town lord's palace. Tomorrow, they would rally the townsfolk and give back their kids. In just 5 seconds, everyone within the formation was dead. No one knew how they died, as the invisible walls around the formation were all smeared in blood. Chuche then deactivated the formation, revealing piles and heads of sliced-up body parts. Well, it was too unsightly. Without wasting any time, he ordered the guards who had fire-flashing skills to burn their bodies. At the same time, Old Fru had successfully pulled Odeo alongside the other 3 shadow guards. Odeo felt his body weaken and glared at Old Fru hatefully. This man had calculated him. He swore that even if he became a ghost, he would never let him go. Damn it! Odeo closed his eyes in despair as he performed a secret ritual to keep his soul intact while smiling cruelly. Old man Fru, this isn't over yet. You just wait for me. I'll be back. Odeo looked at old Fru cruelly before closing his eyes and concentrating on his soul.
Whiff.
His soul successfully left his body, but had dropped 6 dawn down. The technique could only be used as a life-saving straw, since its results were too fatal for many cultivators. Yes, he escaped, but now, rather than being in the 11th dan, his current power was at the 5th dan instead. And as time goes by, the laws of heaven would suppress his soul by dropping his levels even more, forcing him to die and reincarnate. If he didn't find a suitable person to rob, it would be too late. As time went by, even though he would grow weaker, he would still retain all his knowledge on cultivation and whatnot. But after a certain period, even his knowledge and memories would be wiped out from his soul, as it would disappear bit by bit until he was forced to reincarnate again. Even if he did reincarnate, at that point, he wouldn't be able to remember anything about his past life. The only way he could do this is if he had some heaven-defying artifact, pendant, flower, or something on him that would keep his initial soul force and knowledge intact. Sadly, this was the lower realm, and such things were myths here. In fact, many didn't even know such a thing existed. Odeo only knew that if he wanted to take revenge, he needed to act fast before his memories and existence completely faded away. The moment his soul left his body, he already felt the mighty suppression of the heavens choking him. As expected, the ancient book didn't lie. He decided to head towards any of the sects, observe the geniuses, fight and take over their bodies as soon as possible. Old Fru would have never imagined that he would reappear as a young kid later on. Just thinking about it made his suppressed soul jump with glee. But how could things be that simple? My darling host, one of your targets is getting away. System, you said he's in a spirit form. But if I remember, the living can't see the dead in the spirit form unless the spirit wants to be seen, or unless one has practiced spirit-seeking techniques. Currently, I haven't practiced one. But you did say you're a powerful system, right? Of course, my darling host. Your system is mighty. The system said, while flexing his muscles on Chu-Chu's shoulders. Chu-Che rubbed his chin deep in thought. And if I remember correctly, a while back, you said I could keep any tamed beasts, pets, and anything else I wanted inside my space, right? Yes, host. But where are you? You won't be thinking what I'm thinking, right? Out of nowhere, the system changed his outfit from a bodybuilder's to that of someone who was mourning. It immediately latched onto Chu-Che's neck in tears. Host, I refuse. I don't want to look after that smelly evil man. Host, don't you love me anymore? Chu-Che scratched his head awkwardly. Look, we're only keeping him there till I learn a technique to finish him off. That's it? Then why didn't you say so? Host, I'll give you a list of methods you can use to get rid of him. It's just that with your current balance, you can't afford these methods yet. Well, it makes sense. He just opened the gaming hall today, so he hadn't made a lot of money yet. That said, the system told him earlier that he could get several things by paying for them. But after completing today's mission, he should have enough found in his card. Without wasting any more time, Chu-Che jumped into the air and followed Odeo based on the system's pointers. He couldn't see him, so he had to use the system to guide him. Young master, where are you going? To catch Odeo. Old Fru watched in confusion before looking at Odeo's lifeless body for a while. Soon his eyes lit up in shock. Could it be that the bastard tried to use some secret soul escape technique? He heard about such things before, but had never seen them because of how rare they were. That old bastard hid deep. Meanwhile, Odeo looked at Chu-Che in disbelief and rage. He couldn't help shedding some ghostly tears when thinking about his predicament. Boy, don't you think you're a bit too much? Even in death, you're still not willing to let me go? What sort of evil did I do against you to have you chasing me non-stop? And didn't the secret manual say that no one would be able to see his spirit form? Or could it be that he had practiced some special technique that allowed him to grasp his presence as a ghost? What the hell was going on here? Damn it! Odeo gritted his teeth and started running in a zigzag manner, hoping to lose the brat on his tail. But Che, who was already stronger than Odeo, quickly caught on. Host, you're close enough now. Good. Then begin suction. Yes, my darling host. With that, A mini vacuum cleaner appeared in the system's hand as he began sucking Odeo's soul away. What? Odeo was so frightened that he yelled out loudly, causing Old Fru and those watching below to open their eyes wide in alarm. Old Fru clenched his fists and secretly vowed to be more diligent in future. If the young master hadn't noticed Odeo's fleeing soul, then who knew what disaster the latter would have brought to them in the future? No, he had to get better. As for Bo Su, Yen Jin, and Bin Owo, they weren't all that shocked. In fact, what stunned them the most was that Boss Chu could find the spirits, and was even able to trap them. Odeo's spirit wasn't something someone their age could trap. So all this, coupled with everything that happened today, made them understand that this guy wasn't just a genius, but a true son of heaven. Seeing his ghostly form being sucked away, Odeo began screaming in alarm, panic, and rage. Monster! Monster! You let me go! I want revenge! Revenge, I tell ya. You will regret your actions today. From now on, you'll be hunted till the day you die. Our sect will never let you go. Chu Che tilted his head and smiled. What a coincidence. I too will never let them go. Don't worry. Soon, they'll be reunited with you in the afterlife. So don't feel too sad. You won't be lonely for long. You bastard. What are you planning? You let me go now. Brat, I will never let you go. Old Fru, you just wait for me. Someday I will have my revenge. Revenge, revenge, revenge. Chu Che frowned in annoyance. Shut up. You're too noisy. Plop. Just like that, Odeo vanished with a very aggrieved expression on his face. These people were bullying too much. When Chu Che landed on the ground, Old Fru rushed towards him to check if he was all right before sighing from relief and confusion. Young master, how did you deal with that old bastard? Well, my master left me an artifact for handling such things. So the crisis is over. Old Fru smiled and nodded his head vigorously. The young master is blessed. Not only do you have such an outstanding teacher, but you also have outstanding parents as well. We thank the heavens that the Lord and the mistress had always placed defensive arrays around the town. This time, we could win the battle beautifully because of them. Chu Che just smiled at Old Fru wryly. If he said he could take them all on his own without the arrays, would they believe it? Well, his parents and even his grandfather had truly done for the town without the people even knowing it. All around the town, there were various hidden formations for different purposes that presently weren't activated yet. Most of the credit went to his mother. As a fallen genius from the upper realm, even if she stayed here, how could she not protect her loved ones and her town? Only Old Fru, the shadow guards, and himself knew where all the formations were, as well as how to activate them. As the young town lord, he was taught properly. Well, that was that. Everything from start to finish happened in 26 minutes max. Now it was time for the grand finale. This time, no matter how Bo Su and the rest begged, he refused to take them and directly flew away with Old Fru and the shadow guards. Tonight was bound to be filled with bloodshed, because the moment he arrived in Black Valley, all hell broke loose. Ding! The system appeared on Chu Che's shoulders wearing a ninja outfit. My darling host, you've unlocked a hidden mission. Oh! Chu Che looked at the system, who was jumping around practicing Tai Chi, and felt amused. Host, you're now standing on one of the few spirit veins in the lower realm. Find the spirit vein's roots and retrieve it. And what's my reward? My darling host, that's the amazing part. It's Mortal Kombat XL, which can be installed whenever the host feels like it. So, are you pumped up now? What? Mortal Kombat? Chu Che looked at the reward and smiled. Today was the first day God of War got launched, so it wouldn't be advisable to load other games on the computers yet. Thinking about it like that, he decided to wait until his primary mission was completed before loading it publicly. In the meantime, only he would be able to play it until he officially launched it. Good. Chu Che's eyes lit up playfully. This should be a quick job. Now he wanted nothing more than to finish this up and head back to Wanji Town. Ha 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 ha. He had Mortal Kombat to play, so why waste time on this? Black Valley. The night was slightly chilly and desolate, which might make many afraid. But to the guards who were more than used to the valley's nature, they calmly guarded their sect with no fear. Everything seemed peaceful as it usually was. But then, out of nowhere, many saw a lone boy calmly strolling towards them with just a staff in his hands as he calmly looked at the guards before the sect entrance. The guards squinted their eyes, and all stood in alarm. What stunned them the most was that they didn't even feel the person's arrival. How could this be? The person wasn't wearing any sect uniform and looked suspicious all over. Without a moment to lose, some rushed in to contact their leaders, while others stepped forward to meet this strange lone boy. "Don't move, or it'll be your end. Who the hell are you? I said stop, or you will regret it. Aren't you listening? I said." Silence. Everyone looked at the lead guard in confusion. Why did he stop talking? Was he so frightened that he couldn't speak anymore? Of course, it didn't take long before they got their answer. A thin ring of blood appeared around his neck, and before they knew it, his head completely rolled off his body. Plop. Everyone shifted their gaze towards the severed head, and the lone bit in disbelief. How was this possible? They didn't even feel any wind, wave, or murderous intent that would instinctively tell them to back off. So how did he do it? Fear quickly gripped their hearts as their bodies trembled whenever they met the boy's cold eyes. Monster! Countless thoughts flashed within their minds as they tried their best to process everything. The boy killed the head guard at the 10th dan with ease. So did this mean that the brat was stronger than that? Is that why they couldn't see through his strength or notice his being? This was bad. This was bad. Attack. Don't let him in. Protect the sect. No one knows who gave the order, but as soon as they heard it, they awoke from their stupor. Like bees, they swarmed towards Chu-Che vigilantly to protect their precious hive, while glaring with murderous intent at their opponent. Chu-Che ignored their hateful gazes and snapped his neck and fingers as if warming up. Crack. All right. He was willing to play tonight. Whoosh. Like an invisible plague, he rendered his opponents weak and helpless. Where was he? Where did he go? These were the sort of questions everyone asked before pulling their final breath. He couldn't even see their opponent's moves, so how could they fight? If Chu-Che wanted to show off, he would slow his momentum down. But now wasn't the time. He wanted nothing more than to get this done quickly, save the kids, and get back to Wonji Town. With his mind firm, he didn't even give his opponents the chance to fight back. Slash, 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 slash. Wherever he went, countless bodies fell, making the enemies shiver in fear. Soon, it wasn't long before someone recognized the staff in his hand. Wait, wasn't that Elder Medina's staff? Did this mean that the brat had already killed her off? F*******. Who the hell did they just provoke? The dreadful, spine-tingling screams of the fallen rang out amidst Black Valley as the evil tornado, known as Chu-Che, hurriedly swept across their beloved sect. And just when everyone thought they were doomed, several sect elders appeared majestically in the sky. Look, it's Elder Feng. Thank the heavens. Elder Gu is here. Heaven. Sect Master Wusher is here too. The disciples cheered and jumped merrily as they watched all 12 sect elders appear on the scene. A few more elders were out on missions, so it was just them. And what made them even more hopeful was that their sect leader had stepped out too. With all these powerful beings here, they didn't believe that Chu-Che would come out victorious. They looked at Chu-Che arrogantly, as if gloating that their backers were finally here. Like superheroes, their elders appeared out of nowhere, giving them hope for survival. Sect Master Wusher looked at the gruesome scene and felt his blood boil. Turning his attention to the nearby disciples, he commended them for their bravery. You've all worked hard. Sect Master, we did what we ought to do, so no need to thank us. Yeah, Sect Master. We feel honored to defend our home. The disciples felt touched by the Sect Master and held him in even higher reverence. As for Wusher, his thoughts weren't, particularly on the disciples. The only reason why he made an appearance was because of the youth before him. The moment he got word that the intruder was a brat, his mind went to work. All this time, he had been honing one of his disciples here as his next target. In other words, he knew that his life would soon come to an end and had been secretly training his most prized disciple to the level of genius. He could continue killing children and using them to level up. But what he hated was his cultivation speed. That's why he decided to look for geniuses. In particular, his most favored disciple. And when his time was up, he would destroy the disciple and take over his body. Of course, the disciple didn't know this. But that was Wusher's plan. Having feelings while in an evil sect was ridiculous. No one could be trusted once one embarked on the road of no return. In this place, everyone had to be selfish to survive. Who asked them to embark on such a road? Wusher had, of course, set his sights on his most favored disciple, but that didn't mean that he couldn't change his target. If he found a more outstanding genius that was accessible to him, then he would change his target without a doubt. Looking at Chu Che, he couldn't see anything no matter how he searched. Wusher ruled out the possibility of him being mortal. What a joke! Could a mere mortal cause so much trouble here? It was either the youngster was stronger than he was, making him exceptionally talented, or the brat had an amazing artifact with him that boosted his strength. Wusher didn't believe that he wouldn't be able to take down Chu Che if he teamed with the others. So he followed along, having his own agenda at heart too. Looking arrogantly at Chu Che, Wusher's murderous aura overflowed across the battlefield. We of the disciples couldn't help kneeling from how intimidating it was. Boy, who the hell are you? And why do you have Elder Medina's staff? Speak now if you want to live. Chu Che ignored Wusher's intimidating moves and shrugged his shoulders. Who I am isn't important. I'm only here for one thing. To kill. Ha 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 ha. Ignorant child. Do you even recognize where you're standing right now? Do you still think that you have a chance against us? The elders and everyone smiled arrogantly, as they felt mighty proud tricking Chu Che. Boy, if you agree to be a slave of the sect for the next 30 years, then I might get tempted to let you go. Wusher said while massaging his long beard. The disciples seemed to like the idea too. If he became a space, wouldn't they have more opportunities to bully and attack him at will? Boy, do you know how fortunate you are to get assigned by Elder Wusher himself? Brat, what the hell are you hesitating for? If it were another person, they would have been made cripple and killed. But you are only taken in as a slave, so you better treasure this opportunity. Everyone looked at Chu Che arrogantly, but suddenly, something happened that made their faces freeze. Crack. What? How was this possible? The elders and everyone else were still feeling mighty confident while looking at Chu Che, who was busy walking around the formation in search of heaven knows what. Chu Che crossed one arm over his chest and continuously massaged his chin with his other hand while deep in thought. Seeing him ignoring them, everyone felt very annoyed. Does the brat think he can escape the formation? Heh, what a fool. Humph. Let's see how long he'll be able to keep up his act. The great Elder Tingum laid down these formations. So how can it be broken so easily? TCH. If he breaks it, then I'll eat ***T for a month. Who is Elder Tingum? How could the brat compare to him, one of the most famous formation masters in the lower realm? It's impossible for him to escape. Brat, just give up. Amidst their ridicule, Chu Che calmly scanned through the formation and nodded as if enlightened. My darling host, do you need help? No, it's fine. If it were someone else, it would undoubtedly be tricky and impossible for many to escape. But not me. Chu Che felt that the original owner was truly the son of heaven, who just happened to meet an unforeseen circumstance. Who was his mother? A famous fallen genius in the upper realm. And apart from having gifted bones, he was still trained and taught several things by his mother. It was as if she knew that they would soon find her and come for her. She had been preparing him by impacting him on almost everything she knew from the upper realm. She even wrote down cultivation manuals and many books, which could undoubtedly answer hundreds and thousands of questions for many in the lower realm. She, of course, also impacted knowledge on Old Fru and the Shadow Guards. In this world, it was customary for people to have many professions. All elders in various sects had to have a specific number of professions to maintain their positions. Apart from being teachers, some were blacksmiths, alchemists, and so on, having 3, 4, and even 7 professions. Of course, having many professions wasn't enough, as one needed to constantly rank up within those professions. There was no way an elder would be a rank, one alchemist, or something so low, and so it was common for people to have several professions. His mother was not only a formation master, but a tunist and a poison master. Poison masters were very different from alchemists. That profession was on its own. One focused on improving cultivation and sometimes saving lives, while the other focused mainly on taking lives instead. But while the original owner learned from his mother, his father was also a genius blacksmith and otherworldly designer here in the lower realm. Not to talk of his grandfather, who was low-key famous too. The boy had been groomed for the day danger came. It was as if they all knew it would come, but no matter how hard they trained, they were still no match for the many from the upper realm. Even if Chu Che didn't have the system, he would still be a shining star here. So looking at the formation before him, it looked like trash. There were just too many flaws that made his eyes twitch as if looking at something irritating. One should know that all this time, the formation had been doing its best to suppress Chu Che's cultivation level. Typically, anyone below the 9th dan of the spirit realm would have their cultivation fully suppressed, making them mortal again. And the longer they stayed in the formation, the more their bodies would break, causing several internal injuries, leading to death. The famous formation master Tingum must have been in the 9th dan of the spirit realm when he set up the formation. Of course, the spirit realm was the second Tao of cultivation after one broke through the true Qi realm. It goes to show that the man was indeed powerful, as countless people dreamt of entering the spirit realm so as to break through later and leave the lower domain. The spirit realm also had 13 dawn. So if Tingum was in the 9th dan, he was at least close to leaving. That is if he could break through again before his time was up. From what he heard from these babbling disciples, this elder Tingum wasn't even in the Ta province. Apparently, he was somewhere far away in Bailong province. Could it be that the real base of the Black Valley sect was there? Were they trying to start their roots here in the Ta province and slowly take over the place? Chu Che had a lot of questions, but now wasn't the time to ponder on them. Indeed, this formation should have been able to suppress him in the 12th dan of the true Qi realm. But he had the system, so everything bounced off him. Of course, those outside the formation didn't know this. Chu Che calmly walked around the formation, taking note of its every flaw. With that, he found the quickest one to unravel and squatted beside it. Seeing his actions, the sect disciples laughed as if watching a good show. "Brat, you're wasting your time. There's no way that you'll be able to escape. So just obediently become our slave. Fool, the foundation will crush you to dust if you continue staying there. How about getting on your knees and begging to become our slave? Ha 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 ha. Could it be that you're squatting to beg for your freedom? Come, beg loudly. We can't hear you." I said. Rumble. Rumble. Break. Chack. What? Everyone watched the formation starter in disbelief. Even the sect master Wusher opened his mouth and shook his head frantically in disbelief. Impossible. How did you break the formation? Elder Tingum was an entry-level rank 3 formation master. So how could you have defeated him? He didn't believe it. The brat probably used some artifact, right? Yes. He must have used a secret artifact to get out. Listening to their sect master, everyone agreed to that analogy. What a joke. The highest level of all professions in the lower realm was rank 3. Of course, some occupations like tunists or natrajas could only reach rank 2. If they wanted to improve further, they would have to ascend to the next domain. That said, Tingum was at the entry level of rank 3, which was relatively high and brought about amazement from those who saw him. A majority of people were still at rank 1 or at most, the entry stage of rank 2. They hadn't even reached mid-stage or even the park of their ranks. But look at Tingum. He was already at rank 3, meaning that he was a genius here. So how could they accept that a 16-year-old brat defeated him? No, it must have been an ancient artifact or something. Now, the elders' eyes lit up in greed as they started at Chu Che viciously. Who wouldn't want such an artifact? Boy, hand over your artifact, or we won't hesitate to kill you. Chu Che rolled his eyes heavenwards, as he felt these people were a bit too stupid. It was as if they had already refused to believe what they saw earlier on. He dismantled the formation before their eyes, yet they still refused to believe it. So wasn't this stupidity? Could it be that he stimulated them too much? Whatever the case, Che was done playing their games. He swung his sword impatiently. Look, I have no more patience for you all. So can we make this quick? Everyone blinked and held a straight face before erupting in laughter. If not for the artifact on him, would he even have the courage to repeat what he just said? Everyone felt that the youngster had probably fried his brain or something. As for Che, he couldn't be bothered by their state of disbelief. Bah-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha. Huh. Boom. Everyone froze in silence while the elders turned around, only to see Che squatting huts beside one of the elders, who was currently on the ground. Che had planted the elder's head deep into the ground, while the rest of his body just lay there on the floor stretched out. The elder's body trembled for a bit before calming down again, all in a matter of 2 seconds. With a single glance, one could tell that the elder's neck had been overly stretched and might even have snapped into two. Amidst the shock, Che unearthed his hands, revealing a mixture of blood and dirt covering them. There was no need to ask. Everyone could see that Elder Pyru was dead. What just happened? Che stood up, turned sound, and calmly glanced at the elders. As I said, I'm a busy man, so let's make this quick. If it were before, everyone would laugh out loud again. But now, they felt that he might have the ability to back things up. Sect Elder Wusher squinted his eyes coldly and gestured toward the rest of the elders. Everyone, let's attack him together. Right. With that, the sect elders all rushed towards Che mercilessly. With that, the real show began. Roar! Che exclaimed excitedly as he diligently swung Medina's staff in his hand. Boom! With just a single move, he had pushed all of them back before running towards the nearest one coldly. The elder jumped back when Che magically appeared before him. But his defense came too late, and before he knew it, he saw a long, quick silvery light enter his chest. The moon reflected light off the staff, making it shine with every move. The staff pierced the elder's heart, causing his lips to quiver in disbelief. Plop! The elder dropped to the ground on his knees like a stone. He wanted to scream and yell angrily but couldn't. How? Che paid no attention to him and vanished again after ensuring he was dead. He had no time to satisfy the curiosity of these elders. The elders tried to fight, but weren't his match. Slash. Tonight, not even the nearby wolves dared to howl after hearing the wails from Black Valley. Some even shifted away from the cursed place, lest whatever was terrorizing the place went after them. And while Che continued dealing with the sect members and created a great distraction, Old Fru and the Shadow Guards had already switched attire, all wearing the sect outfits now. While looking at the map on their membership cards, Old Fru and his gang hurriedly made their way to the restricted area of the sect. According to the young master, that was where the children were held. As for how they got access to the map, that was simple. The system did say that Che could take the mission individually or invite others like an adventure group. If that were the case, then the reward money would also get distributed. So Che created a mission group and added Old Fru and the Shadow Guards. The map made it easier for them, as they could watch themselves as tiny dots running around towards their targeted destination. Elder Fru, there appears to be a formation just ahead. One of the Shadow Guards said. I noticed it too. Everyone to stay alert. This is the restricted area. Any wrong move, and it might be our end. Yes. The gang leaped forward without hesitation. And as expected, it wasn't long before they met their first assault. Illusion Array Formation. Old Fru ran past the forest region before suddenly turning around in shock. Brother Fru, where have you been all these years? Seo. Old Fru stared at the woman before him with tears in his eyes. She was as beautiful as he remembered. She was the only woman he had ever loved. Old Fru's heart thundered as he slowly inched forward with trembling hands before grabbing the woman's face lovingly. Seo, is that really you? The lady smiled warmly and nodded. Brother Fru, it's me. Old Fru bit his lips and looked at her in guilt. Seo, if I didn't go out on a sect mission all those years, you wouldn't have fallen to this state. I knew that Chui Ling was up to no good. If I had known she would dare make a move in my absence, I would have never left for the mission. Old Fru's voice was filled with grief. Seo, I'm sorry. It's because of me that you ended up in this state. They all said you were dead, but deep in my heart, I still knew that you were alive. Seo, it's great that you're alive. The woman nodded and wiped old Fru's tears away. Brother Fru, all that is in the past. I'm just happy that you two are alive and well. Brother Fru, since you're here, why don't I show you my place? It's just a few steps away from here. Brother Fru, you really owe me a lot. So the least you can do is spend a few nights here. I'd like that, old Fru said while deepening his smile. And so, the beautiful lady calmly led old Fru to her home that was adequately hidden behind a few bushes, just several steps away from where they were earlier. She opened the door warmly and gestured for him to step in. Brother Fru, I've been waiting for you for decades. And now you're finally here. Brother Fru, please come in. Old Fru nodded and calmly walked forward. And at this moment, the air grew mighty tense, as everything around old Fru seemed to turn its attention towards him. The trees that previously blew gently in all directions now leaned towards him instead, as if watching his every move. The shrubs on the floor were the same as well. The entire jungle seemed focused entirely on old Fru. But more importantly, the lady who had just gracefully opened the door to him had a strange light in her eyes, as her seemingly gentle smile became crooked. Her expression was that straight out of a horror movie, as her lips pulled upward at an exaggerated angle that was impossible for ordinary humans to do. Suddenly, old Fru, just one step away from entering, raised and turned around warmly. Seo, meeting you again has been the best gift anyone could give me. The lady smiled stiffly while continuously staring at the door behind him. Brother Fru, why are we still talking about this? Aren't I here now? So why don't we go in and talk more? Old Fru shook his head and sighed. Seo, do you know the greatest thing about love? It's the ability to recognize one's partner. I know that, but why don't we talk about it more inside? Old Fru chuckled bitterly. Seo, the depth of my love for you is something that no one can compare to in my heart. That said, I've always been able to recognize fakes at the drop of a hat. The stiffly smiling lady started fidgeting slightly. Come now, Brother Fru. How come I didn't understand what you're talking about? Old Fru walked towards her with an even broader smile than before. I have to admit, for a moment, I sincerely wanted to stay here forever. But you're not my beloved. You're not my Fru Che's woman. You are nothing but a fraud. Indeed, I know my woman is alive somewhere. But no matter where she is, she would never willingly build her home in an evil sect. Old Fru quickly took out his sword, instantly causing the lady's face to get distorted. Her face started sagging as if leaking to the ground. Her neck seemed to grow longer, with many rings of fat. Ugh! It was a disgusting brownish worm that was somehow transparent as well. Its body was so horrendous. Imagine accidentally kissing it? Old Fru almost looked when that thought flashed through his mind. Luckily, he was prepared. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Seeing that its ploy had been uncovered, fake Seo tried to run away into the hole. But how could old Fru let it go? Goodbye, fake Seo. Swish! Old Fru sliced through the last and appeared behind her with his eyes closed. It was only after the creature dropped dead that old Fru finally placed his sword back and opened his eyes. Now, the scene before him had drastically changed to one that would undoubtedly bring about tremble and fear. It was all an illusion aimed at using a person's fondest memories or beloved ones against them. Looking at the scene before him, old Fru's expression turned grim. The spot where the house previously existed had become a vast bottomless pit, with countless weird groaning sounds coming from beneath. Old Fru couldn't see what creatures were down there, but judging from their methods, they should be stronger than he was. After all, they were able to trap him because he had a lower cultivation level than they. As for what had been following him this entire time, it looked like a large human-sized worm on a plant. Judging from everything that happened, although the thing down the while is powerful, it seems that its weakest body extension should be this worm thing. It didn't dare to attack him and even tried to run back into the hole, meaning that it was just something used to distract or lure its victims in. So was the thing down there, plant, beast, or a mixture of both? The key point was that there were many things down there. When old Fru woke up, he saw the other shadow guards drawn forward by other worm thingies. Of course, he destroyed them, waking everyone up instantly. Remember, Nothing here is real. Keep your heads level-headed. Yes, Elder Fru. All right. Let's go. Old Fru dared not dilly-dally here anymore. Who knew what other tricks these creatures would have? With that, they went forward, facing countless dangerous situations one by one. They faced several killing formations that sent brutal attacks at them non-stop until they finally broke the formation. But that wasn't the only type of formation or danger they faced. From narrowly escaping multiple traps to battling several creatures that acted as guardians here within the restricted area, Old Fru and the rest were already dead-ass tired when they finally reached the location where the children were locked up. Old Fru himself was a formation master taught by Chu-Che's mother and a few other teachers. So without a doubt, if Old Fru wanted, he could leave here and get famous. But he chose to stay behind and care for Chu-Che instead. What truly saved them this time was their knowledge of formation arrays. Many moderate-ranked formations here were too flawed, in Old Fru's opinion. Compared to those around Wanji Town, one could immediately tell which ones were superior. The ones in this sect were rubbish. And while Old Fru and his gang finished saving the children, Chu-Che, on the other hand, continued his murderous bloodbath. Pluff. Sect Elder Wusher coughed a huge ounce of blood after receiving a fatal attack from Chu-Che. How could this be? His eyes darted left and right as he tried to remain focused. He felt his life draining before his eyes as he continuously glared at Chu-Che. The heavens were truly unjust. He had painstakingly cultivated for close to 281 years now to get to his current level. Yet, the brat of just 16 years seemed stronger than he was. Was this some sort of joke? Thinking about it made Wusher even more unwilling to die in his hands. He almost cried, cursing the heavens for their biased favorability towards the youngster. Why? Why did the heavens bless you so much? Old man, I've been asking myself the same question for years now. Why did the heavens make me this handsome? Why did they make me so eye-catching? This is something that I too want to know. Chu-Che sighed. Alas, even you are drawn to my handsomeness. But don't worry, I'll make this quick to end your frustration. Straight face. Wusher didn't even have the strength to get angry anymore, as he had just let himself go. At this moment, any place was better than here. Swish. He was dead. The last elder was dead. With that, Chu-Che turned toward everyone else calmly. Now it's your turn. Swish, swish, swish. 10, 15, 20, 30, 90 whole minutes went by in a flash before Chu-Che had completely massacred everyone, including those that dared to leave as ghosts. And after he was done, he first proceeded towards the sect's pavilion and treasury. What a joke! How could he come here without taking anything? Besides, he felt like such evil books should be taken away and destroyed before others find them and continue kidnapping children here and there. The treasure room with priceless artifacts, wealth, and talismans was also swept clean by him. Following that, he soon found the spirit vein and allowed the system to do its thing. One should know that, in essence, spirit veins were routes or channels that allowed qi to flow. In the human body, all cultivators have spirit veins. And when one got crippled, it meant that their spirit vein was destroyed. Likewise, the earth had its own spirit veins below too, that gathered large amounts of qi and circulated it. Many sects fight to own them, usually paying hefty prices. Some sects got massacred and completely destroyed because of the first competition to own rights over the vein. Just standing by the vein, Chu-Che felt the air 10 times cleaner and heavier than normal. It was so enriched with qi compared to other areas within the sect. Well, it was no wonder that the system wanted it. System, is this good enough? Yes, my darling host. It's perfect. All right. With that, Chu-Che reached towards the main route and did something deemed impossible. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Grabbing the central vein connecting all other veins, the ground shook vigorously as Chu-Che carried it out using one hand. If anyone saw this right now, they would faint from shock. Can he not be too magical? Spirit veins can't be carried, all right? It was like someone was carrying air. It was not possible, was it? Chu-Che yanked the roots out, destroying countless buildings miles away. The spirit veins were so long that Chu-Che looked like Superman carrying one of the tallest buildings ever. System. I've got it out. So do your job. Already on it, host. The system replied while holding a fork and knife in his hands. And just like that, the long spirit vein seemed to vanish bit by bit, getting shorter in the blink of an eye. If those dead sect members saw this, not only would they get surprised, but they would despise Chu-Che even more. It wasn't enough that he killed them, but he also had to take away the sect's only spirit vein. They still had members who were currently on missions. So when they got back, how would those sect members avenge them if everything got robbed? Soon, it wasn't long before Chu-Che's ears rang. Ding! Congratulations, host, for completing your side mission and hidden task. A side mission rewards 100 million silver coins. Please properly allocate rewards with other group members. Hidden task reward, Mortal Kombat XL. Chu-Che looked at his rewards and smiled broadly. Great. They could go back home now. But now, there was only one thing that troubled him. How should they transport these children? Chu-Che thought for a while before his eyes lit up. Within the sect, he did see at least 7 Luan birds locked away in the most luxurious cages. These birds were very much used as either mounts or messengers. The baby birds were typically so large that they could carry up to 3 adults, and the adult size could carry 10 adults instead. These birds were enormous and related to the famous and noble phoenix birds. But unlike the phoenix, which was far superior and had bright fiery colors, the Luan's feathers were blue instead. These birds had their one elegance, as they loved singing spontaneously. But make no mistake, even though they may seem weak, their strength was still great. And depending on their level, their speed was also astonishing too. Young master, do you already have a solution? HMHM. Leave that to me. With that, Chu-Che vanished into thin air, leaving old Fru and the rest helpless as usual. But not too long after, Chu-Che returned with all 7 birds. Old Fru's eyes opened in excitement. Luan birds. Sure enough, they would be able to do the job. And looking at them, it seemed that all of them had just broken through. But how? Chu-Che coughed awkwardly when it came to this matter. To tame these beasts and win their loyalty, he made each one break through. Some broke through twice, while others broke through just once. At their previous level, it would take them 2 whole days non-stop to travel back to Wanji Town. Their previous strength could be said to be similar to that of Bo Su and his gang. But now, they were around old Fru's strength and could travel within this distance in a matter of hours. Now they could easily transport these children fast. At the same time, there were only 7 Luan birds. So with the many children around, they had to make several trips this night. Hence Chu-Che had decided to first send the first batch towards Wanji Town, alongside old Fru, while he and the shadow guards rode ahead on wagons. Other sect members might appear anytime soon, so it wasn't advisable for them to still stay behind. And just like that, he set off with the children on the tranquil road. From time to time, the birds could come back and carry others back to Wanji Town. It wasn't until 6 a.m. this morning that the last batch had successfully arrived in Wanji Town. First things first, they allowed them to sleep for as long as they wanted, eat, and got the physician within Chu-Che's estate to attend to their injuries. From there, they would need to get all information about where these people lived, so as to send them back to their parents or families. Today, the entire town was bubbling with joy once they heard all the young town lord had done. Chu-Che looked at everything and smiled in satisfaction. Well, now that was over, it was time to get back to the gaming hall. But little did he know that his actions last night were about to bring a raging storm his way.